Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Ryan, and welcome back to Speak Up. If you've been learning English for a while but still feel stuck, this episode is for you. Let me ask you a quick question. Why do some people study English for years but still can't speak fluently? Sounds familiar, right? Well, today we're going to talk about something that many learners ignore, bad habits. And not just any habits. We're talking about the 9 sneaky ones that silently ruin your English.
Hey everyone, I'm Priya, and I'm super excited you're here. Whether you're a regular listener or joining us for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Now here's the twist. One of these 9 habits we'll discuss today actually looks helpful. People think it improves their English, but in reality, it's holding them back. We'll reveal that one later, so stay with us. If you want to improve your English speaking and avoid these silent traps, you're in the right place.
All right, let's jump right in with the first bad habit that could be holding you back. Thinking in your native language before speaking in English. Now, we all do this, right? You think in Urdu or Hindi first, then try to translate it to English. But here's the thing. It messes with your fluency. The problem is, your brain has to first translate everything before it speaks, and that extra step slows you down. You'll find yourself pausing a lot, trying to find the right words. It's like trying to walk, but your legs are tied together. So while you might understand English perfectly, speaking becomes a challenge.
Exactly, Ryan. And let me share a simple example so everyone can relate. Imagine you want to say in English, मुझे थोड़ी देर के लिए दोस्तों के साथ मिलना है. In your mind, you might translate it as, I have to meet with my friends for a little while. But in English, it sounds a bit off, right? The word order and structure are a little strange. That's because you're translating from your native language word by word instead of thinking directly in English. When you do this, your sentences can sound unnatural and confusing, even if you know the right words.
That's so true, Priya. And it's not just about getting the words right. It's about getting the flow of the conversation. When you're translating in your head, you start to lose the natural rhythm of English. This is why you might hear people who know English grammar really well, but when they speak, it sounds robotic. And the more you do this, the harder it becomes to speak smoothly. But here's the solution. Start practicing thinking in English about your everyday routine. For example, instead of saying, मुझे दोस्तों से बात करनी है, just think in English, I need to talk to my friends. This simple shift will help you speak more naturally and with less hesitation.
I completely agree, Ryan. The key is to make English your default language for thoughts. Try this today. Next time you're doing something simple like making breakfast or getting ready for work, try describing what you're doing in English in your mind. For example, instead of thinking, main chai bana raha hoon, think, I'm making tea. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to speak without stopping to translate. It won't happen overnight, but slowly, you'll feel more comfortable with English as your natural thought process.
That's a great tip, Priya. It may feel awkward at first, but the more you do it, the quicker you'll become at thinking in English. Over time, you'll start finding that the pause between your thoughts and speaking gets shorter. And remember, this is something you can practice anywhere, whether you're at home, traveling, or just walking around. The more you make it a habit to think in English, the more fluent you'll sound when you speak.
Absolutely, Ryan. And don't worry if you make mistakes at first. It's completely normal. What's important is that you're practicing and making that shift in your thinking. With time, your brain will start connecting the dots faster, and you'll find that you can speak more naturally without overthinking each sentence. So the next time you catch yourself thinking in your native language, just remind yourself to think in English instead. It's a small change, but it makes a huge difference in the long run.
All right. Let's move on to the next habit, which is a big one. Avoiding conversations because of fear. A lot of learners hold themselves back because they're afraid of making mistakes. And honestly, who isn't scared of messing up in front of others? But here's the problem. If you avoid speaking, you're never going to improve. You'll get stuck at the understanding level. Sure, you might know how to read and listen to English well, but you won't be able to speak confidently when it's your turn. And the truth is, speaking is where the real progress happens.
Exactly, Ryan. I've seen this with so many learners. People who are amazing at grammar, they know every rule, but when it's time to have a conversation, they freeze. They get nervous. They start thinking, what if I say the wrong thing? And they end up not speaking at all. I know a friend who's really good at English grammar, but whenever we try to chat in English, she gets stuck. She's worried about every little mistake. And guess what? It only makes her more nervous and less likely to speak in the future. It's a vicious cycle.
That's such a relatable story, Priya. I think we've all been there. But here's the thing. Making mistakes is actually part of learning. If you never speak, you're not giving yourself the chance to improve. The best way to break free from this fear is to start small. You don't have to dive into full conversations right away. Start by talking to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing, your plans for the day, or even your thoughts. It's a great way to practice without the pressure of a conversation.
That's a great point, Ryan. And another tip is to use voice notes. You can speak in English and record yourself, then listen to it later. It's like having a personal practice session without anyone judging you. Plus, you can focus on how you sound, and it's a lot less intimidating than speaking face-to-face with someone. You'll also notice where you're making mistakes, and it'll help you fix them without feeling embarrassed.
Exactly. And if you want to get more practice, find a friend who's also learning English. You can both support each other and practice together. You don't need to worry about making mistakes when you're both on the same journey. Try to have regular chats, just a few minutes a day. You'll see how quickly you both improve, and it'll be a lot of fun too.
I completely agree, Ryan. Speaking with a friend makes it feel more natural and less stressful. And remember, every time you speak, you get closer to feeling more confident. So don't let fear stop you. Just speak, even if it's not perfect. The more you do it, the less scared you'll be. Over time, you'll find yourself speaking with ease and making fewer mistakes. And that's when your real progress will happen.
Let's dive into habit number 3, focusing too much on grammar rules. Now, don't get me wrong, grammar is important, but when you obsess over it, it can really hurt your confidence. Have you ever been in a conversation and you're so focused on getting every single grammar rule right that you can't even speak? This happens to a lot of learners. They keep thinking, wait, is this the right tense? Did I use the right word order? And that constant checking just slows you down. Your speaking starts to sound slow and robotic.
I totally get that, Ryan. I've seen it happen with so many people. There's this one guy I know who loves studying grammar. He spends hours memorizing rules and checking charts, but when it's time to actually speak, he freezes. He gets so worried about making mistakes that he ends up saying nothing at all. It's like he's waiting to fix his grammar before speaking. But in reality, this just stops him from practicing and improving.
That's such a good point, Priya. And honestly, this obsession with perfect grammar can hold you back from real progress. The truth is, you don't need perfect grammar to speak English fluently. The most important thing is getting your message across. If you wait until every single sentence is grammatically perfect, you're going to miss out on the chance to practice speaking in real-life situations. It'll make you less confident, and your progress will be much slower.
Exactly, Ryan. So what's the solution here? Instead of memorizing endless charts or grammar books, try learning grammar naturally by using it. The best way to learn grammar is to practice speaking and listening in real-life situations. When you hear people speak, notice how they use grammar, and you'll start to absorb it naturally. And when you speak, don't worry about being perfect. Just keep practicing, and the grammar will improve over time.
That's so true, Priya. If you make speaking a habit, the grammar will come on its own. For example, when you practice with a friend or even talk to yourself in English, focus on the conversation, not the rules. Your brain will start to pick up the patterns, and before you know it, your grammar will improve without you even trying so hard. The key is consistency. Keep speaking, and the rest will follow.
Right, Ryan. And one last thing. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every time you speak, you're improving, even if your grammar isn't perfect. In fact, the more mistakes you make, the faster you'll learn. So take the pressure off yourself and just enjoy the process. You'll see how much more confident you become, and your speaking will sound more natural, not robotic.
Let's talk about the next habit, watching English content without interaction. I'm sure many of you love watching English shows, movies, or YouTube videos to improve your English. But here's the problem. If you're just sitting there passively, not actively engaging with the content, it's not really helping you. Sure, you're listening to English, but that doesn't automatically mean you're improving your speaking or listening skills. You might think, I watch English shows all the time, so I should be improving, but that's not enough.
That's so true, Ryan. I know so many learners who watch hours of English content, TV shows, movies, YouTube tutorials, but they don't actually practice. They sit there, but they're not speaking along with the actors or repeating the phrases. Watching content without interacting with it is just like watching someone else work out and expecting to get fit without doing any exercise yourself. You might enjoy the content, but you're not doing the real work of practicing.
Exactly. And that's where many learners go wrong. They confuse watching English content with actually practicing English. Just because you're hearing English doesn't mean you're getting better at speaking. To really improve, you need to interact with the content. Here's a great way to do that. Try shadowing the dialogue. This means repeating what you hear immediately after the character says it. It helps you practice pronunciation, intonation, and fluency. You can pause the video, listen carefully, and then repeat the phrase as exactly as possible.
That's a fantastic tip, Ryan. Another thing you can do is write down 3 new phrases or words you hear from every video or show you watch. This not only helps you remember the new vocabulary, but it also forces you to focus on what you're hearing. And over time, you'll have a collection of useful phrases that you can start using in your own conversations. The key here is to be active, not passive. Don't just watch, participate.
Absolutely. And to add to that, when you shadow the dialogue, make sure you're trying to match the speed and tone of the speakers. This gives you a real-life challenge and helps you improve your listening and speaking skills at the same time. Don't worry if you can't catch every word at first. It's all about practicing and getting better bit by bit. Even if you don't understand everything, repeating the phrases helps you build muscle memory for speaking.
Exactly, Ryan. And don't forget, the more you actively engage with the content, the more it feels like a conversation. Even though you're alone, you're still practicing speaking out loud. Over time, it'll help your listening and speaking skills improve much faster than just passively watching. So the next time you watch a video or show in English, remember, don't just watch, speak along with it. You'll be amazed at how much you improve.
Now, let's talk about another common habit: ignoring daily speaking practice. A lot of learners make the mistake of thinking that practicing once a week is enough to become fluent in English. But here's the truth. Fluency comes from daily repetition. If you only practice once a week, you're not giving your brain the constant exposure it needs to improve. You need to speak every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. This is how you train yourself to think in English and speak naturally.
Exactly, Ryan. I've seen so many people who wait for the weekend to practice English, thinking that one long session will make a big difference. But it's the daily effort that truly pays off. If you want to speak confidently, you need to make English a part of your everyday routine. Even just 10 minutes of speaking every day can have a huge impact. It's not about how long you practice, but how consistently you practice.
That's such an important point, Priya. And speaking of daily practice, there are lots of ways to make it easy. One method I like is talking to yourself in front of a mirror. It might sound strange, but it's a great way to practice speaking without any pressure. You can describe what you're doing, talk about your plans for the day, or even just express your thoughts in English. This helps build your confidence and gets you used to speaking out loud.
I love that idea, Ryan. Another great practice is to try giving 1-minute summaries of anything you watch or read. It could be a news article, a movie, or even a YouTube video. Try to explain it in your own words in English, even if you only have a minute. This exercise helps you practice speaking clearly and quickly, and it improves your ability to organize your thoughts in English.
Great suggestion, Priya. And if you want to take it even further, you can also practice describing your day out loud. After work or school, take a moment to reflect on your day and describe it in English. What happened, how you felt, what you learned. This not only helps with speaking, but also builds your vocabulary and strengthens your ability to express yourself in English naturally.
Exactly, Ryan. And don't get discouraged if it feels a little awkward at first. Remember, every time you speak, you're getting one step closer to fluency. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll get, and soon it'll become second nature. So even if you only have 10 minutes a day, use that time to speak and watch how much your confidence and fluency improve over time.
All right, let's move on to habit number 6. Using too many filler words like you know, or like. These words weaken your message and make you sound unsure. It's like you're searching for the right word, but instead of pausing to think, you fill the silence with these fillers. Over time, it can make your speech sound less confident and less clear.
So, what's the fix? It's simple. Pause in silence. Instead of saying, take a deep breath and gather your thoughts. Silence can actually sound more confident than filling the space with unnecessary words. You'll come across as more composed, and your message will be much stronger.
Great point, Priya. Now let's move on to habit number 7. Memorizing word lists without context. Many learners make the mistake of memorizing individual words, but they don't know how to use them in real sentences. Single words are useless if you don't know how to apply them in real conversations.
Exactly, Ryan. The fix here is to learn phrases instead of just words. Phrases help you understand how words fit together in real sentences. For example, instead of memorizing book, learn the phrase, I need to buy a book. This way, you're learning how to use the word in context, which is far more useful.
Moving on to habit number 8. Comparing yourself to others. This one can really mess with your progress. When you compare yourself to others, it creates self-doubt and destroys your confidence. Everyone learns at their own pace, and comparing your journey to someone else's is never helpful.
That's so true, Ryan. Comparison can be a trap. The key is to focus on your progress, not someone else's. Every learner has their own path, and some will learn faster or slower than others. The important thing is that you're improving, so celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem.
Exactly, Priya. And now, habit number 9. Ignoring pronunciation practice. If you don't focus on pronunciation, it can lead to misunderstandings, and people may have trouble understanding what you're saying. The good news is, this is easy to fix. Just practice.
That's right. The best solution is to repeat after native speakers. You can use language apps or listen to podcasts to get a feel for the correct pronunciation. Also, using voice recorder apps to check your sound is a great tool. This way, you can compare your pronunciation with native speakers and make adjustments as needed.
So, there you have it. From filler words to pronunciation, these bad habits are common, but they can be fixed with just a bit of attention and practice. If you focus on these, you'll notice a huge improvement in your confidence and fluency.
Exactly, Ryan. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about progress. So, start working on these habits today, and you'll see the difference in your English skills. Keep practicing, stay patient, and trust the process.